A very good evening and welcome to Africa and Beyond Television Network. According to Crime Watch, there is an alleged letter circulating on social media purportedly authored by ZANU-PF National Political Commissar M. Machacha and is dated 23 January 2026, and it announces the temporary suspension of the distribution of the Presidential Economic Empowerment Revolving Fund with immediate effect. The letter claims that new guidelines on the fund's distribution, utilization and management will be issued by the Secretary General Advocate JFN Mudenda, and it instructs all provincial structures to comply pending further direction. However, the authenticity of the letter has not been confirmed, and questions remain over whether it is official communication from ZANU-PF Commissariat Department. This is what is happening, and this is the letter which is making rounds on social media as of now, this night. And the biggest question is, does this letter come from ZANU-PF? Does it originate from ZANU-PF? If it does originate from ZANU-PF, it's something very, very, very big, because this is going to take us through the most turbulent times ahead. We talked about the urgent return of President Emerson Mnangagwa, and then there is a letter right here with the ZANU-PF headquarters stamp, which is right here on to the screen. And the letter, it reads: the temporary suspension of the distribution of the Presidential Economic Empowerment Revolving Fund, and the Commissariat Department wishes to announce the temporary suspension of the distribution of the Presidential Economic Empowerment Revolving Fund henceforth. The Secretary General, Advocate JFN Mudenda, will soon issue new guidelines on the distribution, utilization, and management of the fund, and provinces are advised to comply with this party position pending further instructions. So, if true, what it means, this is a direct order which is meant to stop Tungwarara. So, very interesting events are happening within ZANU-PF at this point in time, and we'll be watching to see what will be the reaction. Today is the 23rd, and everyone is eagerly waiting for the 25th to see what is going to happen. Will Tungwarara not go to Manicaland? If Tungwarara fails to go to Manicaland in respect of this letter, if it is true, then it will be a sign that everything is turning upside down. But what we need to note is these people, they've disregarded anything which is communicated from the Commissariat Department. There was a communication that the Commissariat was nullifying the appointment of Tungwarara into the Central Committee. It was ignored. Christopher Mchangwa went to Manicaland in support of Tungwarara, and they were together dancing around on the stage. So very interesting moments, very interesting developments within ZANU-PF. Have confirmed that this is the position. So we have been trying to look at other platforms from ZANU-PF. The letter is yet to be posted right there, and also usually the letters from the commissariat are not posted on ZANU-PF timelines. They are usually secret letters. The biggest question is, where does it originate from? So this is interesting to see, and we will be watching to see what happens. So our hope and belief is that Zimbabwe, is saved. At this point in time, we do not need anything which is going to destabilize Zimbabwe and harm an ordinary citizen. We want Zimbabwe to be saved, and we hope and believe that ZANU-PF will respect the will of the people. The will of the people is to have change. Not this alabalu of 2030, not this alabalu of factional battles and factional fights. Zimbabweans want change. Zimbabweans want a better Zimbabwe, which is well governed by those who are elected. So a very, very interesting. The biggest question is this the first move of the president on his return from leave? So remember, things are not well. We talked about how these factional battles have become a security threat, and also the most important thing is to note that we saw even the Minister of State, the Minister of CIO, Love Momatuke, he issued a statement and said that this must stop forthwith. So we'll be watching to see if this is going to be respected. We'll be watching to see what happens next. And remember, these structures, they are outside, they are usually run outside ZANU-PF activities, but they are coordinated by ZANU-PF people. But the heads of these programs are usually not ZANU-PF, big wigs. So these are parallel structures leading these programs. And we will watch to see if Tagwirei is going to comply as well as Tungwarara. Remember, everyone was watching to see how Tungwarara was going to respond on the 25th. And if this letter is true, then Pashata. So we wait to see what happens. And is this the end of Tungwarara? Is this the firing of Tungwarara? Time will tell what is going to happen.
Is also this the end of Tagwirei? Who is going to emerge victorious? Who is going to continue with the distributions which we have seen? Is this the confirmation of the prophecy? Yekunzi kune presidential advisor achadzingwa. Very interesting things are happening at this point in time. So when Mnangagwa met with Hubert Angel, is it the same things which they discussed? Which faction is winning? Faction A, it seems as if at this point in time, so yeah, winner. What about faction B? Inenge atorwa 10-0. So 25 is very important because ndopachaibuda nyaya dzese kuti mukomana amiswa zvechokwadere kana kuti. So we'll be watching to see what happens, but very, very interesting. Zimbabwean politics is becoming more interesting. President also Nchamisa futi vabva vadzoka and is back. And he said that I left the dance floor hoping kuti kuno umwe munhu achaoccupy yawo dance floor iyoyoyo. You know, sometimes he believes that he doesn't have monopoly over politics. And no one occupied the stage. Vese vakungopopota vana hopuwa. Vese vana vakungopopota chamisa this, chamisa that, chamisa this, chamisa that. He's selfish, anoita zvinhu zvake ega. Azodini, azotadza, strategic ambiguity, chino nechino, dai. Asiya politics dzacho aenda kumba kwake andogara. You don't occupy the space. You don't come to say, okay, guys, tauya alternative E. Chamisa akatadza apa naapa saka isisu taakugadzirisa zvinhu takadai. You don't do that. They continue to accuse him. So Zimbabwean politics is very interesting pakuti tine vanhu are very useless. Instead of them facing Mnangagwa, they are blaming Chamisa, Chamisa this, Chamisa that. Wazorega Mnangagwa achizodai ZANU-PF 2030. You know, tukirira. You see, this is the biggest problem which you have politically. And interesting days ahead, interesting moments in the nation of Zimbabwe. Will Tagwirei become the sole distributor? Yoma presidential chakadaro. What will be the fate of Tungwarara? So, this is the defeat of the other faction. This is a family affair. So there is nothing much to celebrate about or to talk about. That is the reason why they were defying orders from Pakatanga Tadzapinam Central Committee. But what will happen to people like Christopher Mchangwa? What will happen to those people? What will happen to everybody? Yamira na Tungwarara if he's stopped for sure. So I think we've said 25 will be the confirmation day. Kana achinga amiswa. What will happen to Arakashonko Shanda naye? Saka ndopa politics is enjoying.